All right, well, I got a diversion here. I remembered that when I drove this thing home, this bus home, on the day I bought it, and when I test drove it, occasionally the wipers would just wipe once and park themselves. So I did some checking, and I thought maybe the park switch in the motor was malfunctioning, and it may still be. And the way that works, at least on the older vehicles, there's a switch inside the wiper motor that has power all the time on with the ignition. And when the wipers are not in their parked position, the little switch is closed and it makes the wipers run. And then when the wipers come back to their parked position, they stop. And so the way it works is when you turn on your windshield wipers with the switch, they run like normal, and then when you shut them off, there's no power to the wiper motor. If the wiper motor is not in its parked position, this other circuit keeps it running until they park, etc. But I was playing with that and physically moving the wiper motor around, and I think there might be more to it, because when I had the wipers out of their parked position, the motor didn't start running like I would have expected on an older vehicle. So this has got something else in the circuit. So I don't know what it is, but I found out that you can buy a new one of these multi-function switches for about 50 bucks on Amazon, and the reviews are really crappy because this is a real piece of crap switch. So the circuit, did some research on the circuit for these wipers. I think there's 4 wires is all, and the switch puts a different resistance between one wire and the other 3 for each of the modes. So you got off, which is a fixed resistor in the switch, and then you got position 1, which is your momentary, position 2 and position 3. And so, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 positions of the switch apply 7 different amounts of resistance to the various wires, or 8 actually, because off is a position. All right. So what I thought I'd do is I thought I would take this thing apart and see if maybe because of its age, the grease, like they like to put on these things on the contacts, sometimes it'll harden up, and if the grease, dirt or whatever, it might cause an intermittent connection to the off position. So the way it works is there's a fixed amount of resistance in the off position, and then there's higher levels of resistance, if I remember right. Actually, I got the paperwork right here. I had this figured out a long time ago, but I don't remember anymore the skinny on it. But what I do remember was that if you had a 4 connection, the switch would sense a different resistance, and the electronic control in the computer on this thing might sense for an instant that you turn on the wipers. So I think that might be the failure. It's either that or, like I said, there's something wrong with the park switch on the wiper motor itself. So I thought I would take this apart and see what I could see, and I did find that there's a little roll pin on this knob that there's no access to the other side. So once you press that roll pin in, there's no getting it out. I mean, pretty much no getting it out. So I don't want to break the thing because it still works. So, I mean, everything looks fine. So I'm just going to put it back together and button it up. And it's going to be a long time before I mess around with this thing, but I remember one of the things I wanted to do was just get a known fixed resistor and jump it between the two wires for the off position of the switch. And you can see that connector right there. This is the one that goes into the wiper switch. So if I put a fixed resistor across the right two wires, which I have the information somewhere, they're all numbered and everything, so it shouldn't be that hard, and make sure I had a really good connection on, you know, what I do. If it still has a problem of going, then the problem is somewhere else. So anyway, for now I'm going to button it up. I'll come back into it in a minute.